What's up, hobby friends, and welcome back to Paint Bravely, the podcast where you can find a little bit of encouragement, discover new ways to make your hobby more fun, and most importantly, learn to paint bravely. All right, well, we got some pretty awesome stuff, some weird airbrushing crap that's weird. We'll get into that for sure. We got some mini painting updates, some cool hobby stuff we've been doing, some stuff we're going to be doing, all sorts of fun stuff. So why don't we jump right into it? Brent, what have you been up to last couple weeks since we talked?
All right, got a big update here. I'm staying on top of the hobby trends. I have in front of me a 3-pack of fidget popper silicone time wasters. Hold on. I also got a squirty bottle.
Oh, a squirty bottle.
Yeah, that's for the cat.
Right.
That's for the cat.
You keep not giving the people what they want. They want a cat cam. They want the cats to be up on the desk. And you're like, no, squirty, get out. Like, what are you doing?
Gordon just really wanted to get into the closet, and that's
okay. Well,
that's what we have the squirty bottle for. Anyway,
right. Can't let that happen.
What we have the silicone popper fidget time waster thing.
That's kind of a big deal right now.
It is a big deal. And here at Paint Bravely, the podcast, we stay on top of all the mini painting trends. And it's been nary 3 weeks since Uncle Adam told the world to get yourself a fidget popper device. And anyway, what this is for mini painting is it's a dry palette. It's a whole bunch of little silicone wells that you can put your paint in. And when the paint is dry and old and nasty, you pop out the waste and you got a clean well again. And this essentially replaces the hard plastic well palettes, which I have used for years. And I had a whole system I got a little Tupperware under my bathroom sink filled with super clean. And I had a whole system going about I'd cycle through my old well palettes and put them in there to strip out the old paint. Yeah. But times are changing. We're living in the future now, where we don't even need harsh chemicals to clean our dry palettes. So
it's safe and it's fun. You just pop them right out.
Yep. So it's been fun to watch just the entire hobby community learn about this all at once. And I was on Amazon trying to buy some of these things. And the only ones available right now are all multicolored and stuff.
Yeah.
You can get them in any color except white right now. So what I actually ordered, mine are soccer balls. So they're mostly white with
look at you,
black hexagons and crap on them.
That's fine.
Hexagons and pentagons. Yeah, soccer balls. Anyway.
Yeah.
But the business end is pretty much just white, so good enough. Good enough.
I mean, that'll do for sure.
Mm-hmm.
People have been putting out silicone palettes for a while.
That's true.
It's not super new. This might just be the cheaper option that's kind of been around.
It's definitely cheaper. I got 3 pretty big soccer ball silicone well palettes for the same price I paid for a 6-well palette from TurboDork.
Yeah.
And TurboDork seemed to be ahead of the game on this stuff. And
for sure.
It is a cute little 6-well palette, and there's no soccer balls drawn on it or anything. Interestingly, the TurboDork sells it in white and in black, because those color shift paints, you really can't tell what they're doing unless they're on top of black. The black undercoat is really important for those. And so when I first saw that in their little store there at ReaperCon, I was like, black, that's a weird choice. But actually, it's a very logical choice. It makes total sense.
I could see that, though. If you want to see, really how thin your paint is over a black, undercoat or something. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of spread that out. I mean, I use black paper to kind of wick off some of the moisture and stuff and see where the paint is at.
Sure.
So that makes sense. And,
sure.
Probably easier to clean to a little silicone palette.
Yeah.
It's funny, we talk about how we're on top of the pulse of the hobby, so to speak, but we completely skipped over dry palettes.
Just in general?
Dry brush palettes. Yeah, we haven't talked about that at all. That's been months.
All right, you keep vamping there. I'm going to go get both of my dry palettes. Hold on.
Oh, so you made your... Okay, see, he's gone. Of course he's gone. He just takes his headphones off. He's like, dry pallets. Fine. Yeah, so dry brush palettes, right, for testing out your dry brushing. You take a normal palette or something that you're going to, put stuff in a little box. And you put a bunch of little hobby bits in there, some greebles and whatnot. And then you spray paint it all black or white. And then you go ahead and you do your dry brush and then you test it on that palette. Well, I've heard a little bit of news about that from people who are probably smarter than we are. Yeah. That if you use one, then eventually the buildup of excess paint that's actually on your palette, which is, hey, that's really cool the first time you do it, it's going to eventually get into your brush and you're going to get weird dust and excess paint, like dried paint, into your dry brushing and make it actually worse. I don't know if that's true. It kind of makes sense though. So that's really why we haven't talked about it, because it's kind of one of those weird in-between things. But since we're on the topic of, silicone popper palettes, I figured we should probably bring that up.
Okay. The homonym? Synonym? Homonym.
Antonym, yeah.
No, not antonym. That's
I'm just saying things.
Lost a lot of points on my GRE because of that word, like antonym.
Yeah. Did you? You're like, that is not the same thing.
Yeah, it means not the same thing. Yeah. So a homonym of dry palette and dry palette. I've heard some people talking about their well palettes as dry palettes. Fair enough. They
technically are, yeah.
Fair enough. But the other use of the word dry palette is essentially a dry texture palette for preparing your dry brush.
Yeah.
So I have made a couple of these. Both of these are based off of a steel baking tray. And I have epoxied extra bits down to my steel baking tray. Mostly, this is Dungeons and Lasers extra walls.
There you go.
Yeah, Dungeons and Lasers give you lots of walls, not quite enough floors. So I got my extra walls on here.
They give you all the walls, no floors.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
But you make yourself a dry palette, a texture palette, and it all evens out. And so I've got this one. I also used the remains of an old bottle of texture paste that I had. And actually, I prefer the texture of just the plastic walls from Dungeons and Lasers better. Mm-hmm. And I realized I didn't need this giant baking tray, so I ended up making myself a little baking tray, which I actually use. So there we go.
Have you noticed any issues with the old paint being a little bit dusty or gathering on your brush at all if you're testing? Because I've heard that it might seem fine at first, but that buildup over time is going to start to cause your actual dry brushing problems, and it's going to make your dry brushing less effective overall.
I have not, but I will pay attention to that in the future.
Could be something to test for
yeah, sure. I still don't do enough dry brushing for that to really be an issue yet.
Yeah.
But yeah,
man, I've been using those Artify goat brushes. Like, they're pretty decent. Like, I've been using them quite a bit lately, and I'm actually pretty surprised for like a $30 set. Not bad.
As promised, we're getting our update on the goat brushes right now, folks.
Goat brushes seem pretty good. Maybe not the goat, but they're definitely made of goat. So,
Paint Brave the podcast, in touch with the pulse of the mini painting community.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let us know how them wolf hairs are coming. Yeah.
I still haven't gotten them. I don't know what the hell. Like, I don't know if I got screwed over. That stupid wolf hair brush is not here yet. Brent's gonna choke on his drink.
Well, all right.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll let you know when eventually those come in the mail, those wolf hair brushes and whatever. It'll be fine. But fidget poppers seems like a good way to go. If you got some kids who have some, because they probably do, you might as well take them, see what happens.
Yeah. Get yourself a multi-pack on Amazon or Alibaba or Timo or, wherever you get your bulk, unethical commercial goods. And you keep the white ones, you keep the black ones, any neutral colors or good palette colors. You get like weird rainbow fidget poppers, give them to your kids, give them neighborhood kids.
Yeah. I got lots of rainbow ones.
They do.
But yeah.
They do. Which
in my house I have lots of rainbow ones.
Oh yeah, that's fun for a toy, but it gets a little bit confusing if you're putting the same color red over a purple well compared to the blue well compared to the green well.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like if you know what the color is already, it's like whatever. This is green, I'm going to put it on the orc skin, like that's going here. So, I guess in that case not so it doesn't matter so much, but for most anything else, I mean, I guess using a dry palette is easier than a wet palette, by quite a bit. I still feel like just go the extra mile there. Like,
it also depends on the paint.
Yourself a wet palette.
It depends on the paint. Reaper and to a point Monument Hobbies Pro Acryl paint are both wet enough that they behave a little bit funky on a wet palette, depending on
they do break down
how wet is your palette. But both of those brands, I could see an argument for only using a dry well palette with them. That's fair.
Okay,
that's fair.
Yeah. Suppose if you're gonna do a lot of dry brushing too, you might want to get out your dry palettes and
that's a different kind of dry palette. Different kind of dry palette. But
yeah,
to sum this up, if you're looking for a nice fidget popper palette and you can't find a white one or a black one on Amazon, get yourself the soccer ball one, because the soccer ball design is on the back side, the underside. The side you're going to be using, that's all white silicone or
that's
whatever.
That's a good hot tip. I like that. Yeah.
All right, what else we got, Casey?
Nothing for any more palettes. Like, we don't have any more palette talk.
All right, we were kind of touching on brushes there. We got the goat hair, we got the wolf hair.
Yeah.
I want to talk about Taklon hair for just a moment here.
Ooh, the golden Taklon?
Golden Taklon.
Any old Taklon.
It's all polyester.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So we're doing a little more myth busting over here in Goobertown. And here's a myth I think I've kind of busted and I'm not happy about it because it was a good myth. The myth made me happy. But there are people who say if you put an old synthetic brush in boiling water, soak it in there for 30 seconds, and then pull it out and try to use your fingers to smooth out the hooked tip.
A little melty.
Yeah. Yeah. So the polyester golden Taklon is a thermoplastic. At some point in the manufacturing process, that was hot plastic extruded through a tiny hole or something like that. So it makes sense that, you heat it up. You should be a little closer to its nascent stage. You could kind of, readjust, reshape it a little bit. Well, I gotta tell you, I put that under a microscope and that don't happen. It don't happen.
It just makes you, I mean, if anything, it just like kind of cleans it a little more. So it just works better. Yeah.
I mean, hot water is good for cleaning things. Like, I don't think you're gonna hurt anything with hot water, but I was a little bit sad. Yeah. Yeah. Santa Claus ain't real, Easter Bunny ain't real, and you can't reshape golden Taklon bristles with boiling water. That's
right. Have you tried a blowtorch?
No.
Okay. No, just the thought.
So there was an old video from Luke's APS Geek Gaming, where he did a whole 30-second bit where he's like sneaking into his girlfriend's room to steal her hair straightener.
Oh no. I do not remember this at all. It sounds like something Luke would do.
It was a funny little bit, and in the video, the hair straightener worked. Maybe.
On like a Taklon brush? Or any whatever brush he had.
On a Taklon brush. Okay, so boiling water. Water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. at sea level, so, adjust accordingly.
Yeah.
But I gotta tell you, I'm pretty close to sea level, so by the time I got my water from my, boiling in the microwave on over to my hobby desk, we'll say maybe like 98 degrees Celsius by the time I was dunking the tackle-ons in there.
Hot enough to hurt. Yeah.
So it seems like it should have been hot enough if boiling water actually does what it's supposed to do. And I did several cycles of it, and then I put it under the microscope again. And for a well-used synthetic brush, the damage to the individual bristles is comical. Like they are trashed. They are messed up. Like they have kinks and bends and breaks, and it's like, oh, yeah, there's only so much you can do. Like, yeah, life takes a toll. Like,
I mean, it is what
ain't
it is.
none of us getting younger.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He broke those hairs.
Uh-huh.
I mean, that's the only thing I could think of, like, getting a little, like, butane blowtorch, right? It's like because that plastic then shrinks. It comes back in and it contracts, and, like, I could kind of see how that might fix something like that, but it might just be that they're so small anyways. You just fuse all the hairs together.
I think a blowtorch is a bad idea. I'm gonna come out and say that.
Oh, I'm sure it is. Yeah, I just really want to see you do it.
I think there's an argument to be made for trying to get temperatures a bit above 100 degrees Celsius.
Sure.
So, man, I thought about it. I'm not gonna do it, but I'm like, well, a hot water bath has its limits, but you get an oil bath going, you take that to whatever temperature you want. You get a sand bath going, you take that to whatever temperature you want. And that's why I mentioned Luke's APS getting the hair straightener, because I don't know what temperature the metal in a hair straightener is at, but I think it is above.
It's gotta be pretty hot. Yeah, because you can burn your hair off.
Sure.
With that stuff.
Sure. So I think
that's not a bad way to go.
Like, if you can find a reasonable way to get a temperature of 120 or 150 in a way that is reasonable to try to repair a $1 paintbrush, then, yeah, give it a try. I am curious to see if it's possible. Like, again, that was a myth, a fairy tale that I wanted to be true. Mm-hmm. But I've got some serious doubts after looking under the microscope, and maybe I was doing it wrong. Maybe my water needed to be 2 degrees warmer, but I don't think
somehow
that's the case.
I doubt it.
Yeah.
I doubt it. Because anybody else who would be doing that would do the same thing at whatever you did. They're going to boil the water and they're going to stick it in, they're going to hold it in and then go, okay, it's been in there.
Mm-hmm.
Should be good, and then try and reshape it, and if it's not going to work. So, yeah, other than cleaning out a little bit, yeah. Sounds like a cool idea.
Oh, well.
Yeah. The hair straightener, though, on a natural hairbrush, if you didn't burn them off, would straighten it.
Well, natural hair brushes don't have that problem, though.
That's fair. They don't have that problem to begin with. So,
although
never mind.
I will say, under the microscope, some of the natural hair bristles do have a gentle curve to them, or a little bit of an undulation, and you're like, oh, okay, this just had a little bit of a curvy weasel tail here. You can actually see, okay, if this was a foot-long piece of hair, it might be a curly-haired individual, but it's into less than a centimeter, so it barely registers. So.
Right, it's pretty straight. Yeah, that's a good point. Huh.
Well, I mean, learn something new every day.
For sure. It's funny that, we talk about all this stuff oh, can you save this brush? Can you do this? Can you preserve this? And it's like you said, it's $1 paintbrush. It's really okay.
Right.
To buy more.
Yep.
I mean, you gotta have trash brushes. You're always gonna need them. I remember being pretty early in the hobby thinking man, I gotta save everything, every little piece of, if I cut something off of something and it's like, well, but it still looks like a bit, right? Even though it's like a piece of something else, but I could use this because it looks like something. It's like I have that somewhere, in a box. It's
Me
like
too.
I'm never going to use it, but it's like at the end of the day, like it's fine. We can throw these things away and get more.
Or you can buy yourself some drug baggies and save them all for, the size of your fist. Like you can do that. I do that.
Right.
I do.
You
that.
have a box full of sprues cut up so you can listen to the sound of it as you put your hands through it. I'm saying we don't need to save everything, okay? Like, I understand the want, but it's okay. Now, that being said, I am currently surrounded, okay, by an enormous amount of crap that I have saved because I am currently in the middle of like remodeling my hobby area. I got can lights put in, like I got all the crappy fluorescents, taken out. I got extra power put in here.
That's awesome.
Like dedicated lines for certain things. Yeah, I'm like super stoked. The storage area that I had that was like a garage, the garage portion of the garage that I'm in, has been turned into just a full office. Like I don't even have access to it anymore. It's got its own door on the outside. So it's completely separate, but it's just an office. I got those sweet Home Depot, display cabinets, right? So Home Depot out of nowhere had these display cabinets that are like, I think they're almost 6 feet tall, like 2.5 feet wide, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's pretty wide for like most cabinets. You just don't realize.
Mm-hmm.
Full LEDs, top to bottom, like real nice glass panel doors. And they're like $220 or something.
That's not bad. How many shelves?
That's not bad. I'm trying to think of like the picture in my head. I think it's like 5 or 6. It's decent.
That
Like they're
bad.
pretty tall. It's
That
not
ain't
bad at all.
Yeah.
It was very comparable to like the Billy bookcase from IKEA. Very comparable, but like all the LEDs were pre-done and they're nice and yeah. And I have a Home Depot here. I don't have an IKEA, so still had to have them shipped, but it was free shipping, so who cares? Yeah, so I got 3 of those things. So I'm finally going to be able to like put all this stuff I have that's just in boxes. I have like stacks of boxes behind me that are just filled with models. Like boxes of sprues. So I got those, and then I got actual storage cabinets of like kind of the same size, just metal storage cabinets, that kind of thing. So I'm gonna end up redoing this entire space. Just make it nice, make it what it should be.
That's
and
exciting.
Display all my crap that I've collected that I'm trying to say you should not collect. Throw it away.
Your hobby score is going up so high. You're out of 10, my friend. You're out of 10.
I feel like I dropped there for a bit, but bringing it back.
Yeah. Well, I'm really curious to see those display cases. I think a display case is a very nice thing to have. And I have a small display case that I keep like rotating things out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I have 3 relatively small shelves, but there is a massive difference between a case that has a door and a bookcase.
Right.
And the difference is dust.
That's my main concern because like right now everything's open, and like I have a couple of cases like that are like 1x1 squares, that I can put stuff in that do have a little closing door, like acrylic door on the front. And that's pretty cool. They actually also have LEDs too, like $10 on Amazon you can buy them for. But yeah, I got a lot of models that don't fit in that. They're a little bit taller, like a little too tall. Yeah. So having an entire army on display, like the motivation that I feel, even just thinking about it in my head, like having that sit there and be like, look, it's all there except for like one piece maybe. It's like, well, now I really want to finish that one piece because then it goes in the cabinet, right?
Yeah, and
like
you can see
when you can
it
call it done.
Yeah,
the feeling of being able to say, oh yeah, it's going in the cabinet. Yeah, that's right. So I'm looking forward to that. I got to put all the stuff together. But I'm trying to finish painting this ridiculous orc conversion I found on eBay for like $10.
Ooh.
And yeah, it's really stupid actually. Like it's real dumb, but in the best possible way. Like somebody took a bunch of different things that I don't even know what they are and slammed them together and put them on like this weird, like the torso is sitting on top of a tank and it's an orc. So I took it and like it kept falling over. It looks kind of jank. And so I just tripled it, right? I put it on an even bigger tank and gave it even bigger arms. Like just went for it. So yeah, he's looking pretty good right now, but I'm in like trying to deal with that, like just paint and work on that in the middle of having all this stuff kind of everywhere. Like I've got video of me like working in between a bunch of boxes that are just sitting there, like trying to get bits and stuff. Like I can't find anything right now. So I got to get that stuff done. Like after the video's done, I got to put the stuff together and just like get everything in the case. Just get in the case. Yeah. I'm going to take some pictures. Feel real good about that case.
I am like legitimately excited for the case. I want to see the power of a $200 Home Depot case. This is something that people need to know about. You can be the next trend center of
yeah.
That's even
Go
better
to Home
than fidget
Depot.
poppers. That's right.
I mean, they had more than just the ones that I'm buying. They actually had the same model without LEDs, with like I think it was a couple of less shelves, and it had wood around the glass panel instead of being fully glass for like $120.
You got the better version.
Oh, I did.
You got to
for
spend
sure.
big to live big, Casey.
Yeah,
spend
but
big
like
to live big.
basically for $100 less, you can get the same thing without lights and like crappier doors
and fewer shelves.
But like, yeah, but I mean, it's like $120.
Yeah,
that is
that's
not
a good
bad
point. That's
for
a good point.
dust-free models, right? You can still see them, granted, not very well,
Not
but they're
without
in there,
the lights. Yeah,
and they're dust-free, and that's the important thing. Like I got models out right now that are, man, there are some dusty models. Like they do not look good. Like
Right.
they've been out for years, and they don't look good. So yeah,
that's something we don't talk about enough. But dust
true.
on models sucks.
Yeah, how do you get rid of that? Like other than like dumping some water on it, hoping for the best.
I think a moist brush, like a archaeologist brush,
Yeah.
like a ooh.
Just a damp like 2-inch brush.
I don't like it.
I mean, actually, now that we're on the topic, I am thinking, what if you used mineral spirits? Would that get rid of the dust without hurting the paint? Because it wouldn't hurt
your
the
acrylic paint. Test your acrylic paint, but yeah, maybe. Sure, I guess. I don't like it.
I mean, but okay, it's like you use an oil wash. You mix oil, paint, and odorless mineral spirits, and it definitely doesn't hurt the paint.
I hear ya.
Done it lots of times.
Well, you update
would
us.
dry.
You
That's
update
not
us
a
in a
bad
couple
idea.
of weeks and let us know if you ruin your.
Well, the problem is like the one
They're
I'm
clean
thinking of,
and oily.
yeah, they're real shiny. Okay, but once it dries, it's a little matte varnish.
No, it should be all right.
Should be all right. It'd dry. I don't know. Something like that might actually work though to get rid of that dust, because I feel like if you put water on it, like if it penetrated at all, then you're screwed. Like that paint is gonna get wrecked, especially if you touch it and try and wipe anything off. Like that's just not gonna work.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So I actually did make a minor improvement to my hobby area, and it's like a dumber version of what you did. So I always have a lot of projects half finished at any one time. That's just how I work. And most of them, well, that's not entirely true, but a lot of them fit onto a baking tray. Like
you do have a baking tray thing going.
Oh, I've got a whole system of bacon trays.
Yeah, exactly.
But I found an old wooden box in my basement that perfectly fits the size baking tray I use. And so it's pretty stupid, but like I have a non-display case for my work in progresses, my whips. So I've got a box.
Whip
I take the wooden cover off of my wooden box, and I put my bacon tray in there. And I put the wooden cover back on, so I can't see. I know it's in there. I know it's in there.
Sure. If you use it as an active whip box, you know what I mean? Like,
so I
know it's in there.
I have an active whip box that is dust free, and it's pretty stupid, but honestly, it's much better than just having a baking tray of in-progress minis collecting dust around. So, as stupid as it is, I consider it a real improvement to my hobby system. So I've got a dust-free place to put my works in progress, and so that's pretty good. And I'll do you one better. Avid listeners may remember that one of my plastic boxes of storage for minis had a smell to it. I figured out what it was. I walked into a memory of one time I used an identical plastic box to store old aquarium rocks. And my nose tells me that it was that plastic box. So,
right.
Yeah.
Kind of fishy.
You know what? There's no mysteries that we can't get to the bottom of. Like,
especially on
things reveal themselves in time. And once I'm like, hey, I wonder if that terrible, terrible stench coming out of this box of 3D printed minis that I haven't painted yet, I wonder if this stench is an aquarium stench. And then my nose locked in, and like, yeah, I know what that stench is. Yeah, it's aquarium rocks. So, plastic is porous. It has an ability to kind of absorb and adsorb noxious odors. Yeah, and they come back. They come back when you don't want them to.
I mean, that's why you buy Tupperware, because they don't do that, or at least they say they don't do that.
Huh. Yeah, I keep my teriyaki bowls in glass. I've got glass.
That's a good call.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Pyrex.
Good call.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pyrex does. Yeah, it's stink proof.
But I keep my models in Sterilite.
You're right. Sterilite. They're just trying to get away with something. They know what happens. You put stank rocks in there, you're gonna get stanky models.
And let this be a lesson to all of us. Yeah. So that's what's going on in Goobertown. I've got a nice wooden box for my work in progress models so they don't get dusty, and I figured out why some of my storage smells like aquarium rocks. It's because of the aquarium rocks.
Perfect sense. It absolutely makes sense. I'm glad we got to the bottom of that. It was a mystery that was really hard.
I wasn't going to leave you hanging. We got to the bottom of it.
Yeah. We got a lot of mysteries on this podcast.
Issue resolved. We took that issue and we put it right into the display cabinet. Done and done.
Into the cabinet. Yes.
Check that off the list.
Perfect.
Well, I've been checking off some Relic Blade minis. I see
that. Yeah, you've been posting up some Instagram pictures.
Yeah.
Sweet. Mining dwarfs and stuff.
Ooh, those have been on my work in progress cookie sheet for a while, and it's nice to get them up off of there. Yeah.
It's good to see they're very dust free.
They are. Yeah. And also there's little spear gobs and gun gobs and a little herbalist from the Akkad faction of Relic Blade. And those were the ones that I painted entirely with old brushes that I had restored. So from that brush restoration video, there were some really bad brushes that just completely rinsed out with isopropyl alcohol, put a little bit of brush soap on in there to maybe recondition them a bit. Moisturizers and conditioners and that kind of stuff probably do get removed by the isopropyl alcohol, but brush soap has some of that stuff in it. Yeah. You get a little bit of that goop back in the hair and then see if the brushes actually work. And the answer is mostly. Yeah.
I always feel like cleaning out an old brush like that, it's like, man, it looks so nice, and then you use it and it just starts to fall apart like really fast. Like that tip just dissolves and it's like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's not great.
Yeah. So I cleaned up a set of 3 brushes for myself, like small, medium, large. Mm-hmm. And the larger one definitely had the problem of every once in a while it just, the tip dissolved into a splayed mess of bristles. And like, okay, like this is not perfect, but if you go back to the picture of where it was before I did the restoration, and it was like a solid block and had been that way for years in the back of my drawer, like,
it had some
all right,
PVA
we'll
on
cut
it.
It some slack. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cut it some slack. It's all right.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like you end up using those brushes for lots of other things and like quick. Yeah, I mean, like base coating some large area or something, you're not going to care.
Right.
You know, they're still useful. It's nice. But again, it's like $1 brush.
I think this was a $10 brush, but yeah.
Oh man.
Okay,
I could see that. Maybe a little more. I don't know. Because like GW brush is like $10. And they're basically disposable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's another experiment that I want to do. I want to get a brush that is marketed as being combination synthetic and natural hair.
Right, yeah.
And I want to just YOLO, cut the bristles off, put all the bristles on a microscope slide, and just go through and be like, that's natural hair, that's synthetic, that's natural hair, that's synthetic. I bet you could. You
probably could. It'd be interesting to see like how many of each there are.
Yeah.
If it's like, this is 90% synthetic, some mixed brush, right? Like, are you actually getting, you know?
Yeah.
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 Interesting.
And that one brush I bought from GW a month ago.
Yeah.
Like out of the box or out of the whatever, as soon as I got it out of the store and put it under the microscope, it was so bad. It's like, I'm never even going to try to put paint on this. This is, I bought 3 there and 2 of them look fine, look decent, whatever.
Yeah.
And one of them was just embarrassing. And that was the one that is supposed to be a mix of natural hair and synthetics. And so when I get around to it, I'm just gonna take a set of scissors, cut all them bristles off, throw them on slides, and see if I can sort them out. You know?
Yeah, that'd be cool to see. You know, instead of using all these paintbrushes, though, you should probably just use an airbrush.
Oh yeah,
just do it.
Oh yeah,
just airbrush. Like, you can get away with it. All your base coats.
Been doing a lot of airbrushing today.
Yeah.
I've been getting ready. Next to me here, I have Army Men. This is the first time I have tried painting Army Men, and I got like 100 of them primed today. So
wow, that's a lot of priming.
It is. So in a previous project, I had ordered some steel circles. So I have these 1-inch steel circles. I can't remember what they're called. Punch outs,
like punch outs, yeah, something like that.
Yeah. But anyway, I had those lying around, and I got my hot glue gun, and I just stuck down all these models to these steel circles so I could still use my magnetic painting handles and everything. And the little Army Man still stand up pretty well. Got the 1-inch steel circle base on them. So anyway.
Yeah.
I'm doing my prep. I didn't bother getting rid of all the mold lines on these Army Men, and they are bad.
Good luck, yeah. I mean, honestly, it's like, at this point, especially after like, watching the movie Toy Story, that's like part of the aesthetic of Army Men.
It basically is.
Just like the gnarly, like, lines,
Yeah. But anyway, I am finally going to do some tests on Army Men, and I've heard people talk about it before, like trying out different colors on Army Mans. And I've also heard some people say, oh, don't waste your time on Army Men. Those suck. Don't waste your time painting spoons. That sucks. Well, I'm going to do it. I've got a bee in my bonnet about a painting technique. So
oh yeah.
Yeah. I think I first saw this from Sam Lenz. Other people have done it, but the technique is sometimes called anti-zenithal or nadiral shading. So
Nadiral shading.
nadiral shading.
Okay.
And so you base coat your mini, and then you take your airbrush, and from underneath you shoot in a little bit of a shadow color. So you get your Payne's gray in there. There's video Sam Lenz did on the Tabletop Minions channel like 4 years ago, where he base coated some cavalry, and it was like a lot of reds and browns on the cavalry, and then he used an olive green shade color. Just came in from below, and yeah, in the hobby we've adopted this term zenithal highlighting, zenithal priming, meaning you get a light color, shoot it from above. Shoot a light color from above at your model. And so that's where the term nadiral shading comes from, or anti-zenithal shading.
Well, I get zenithal, like the zenith.
Yeah.
But I mean, you start breaking the nadiral up, and that's not 100. It doesn't make much sense other than like.
No, it doesn't.
It's just shooting the nads from below. You're just getting all up in there, and that's where you're shading.
Yeah, I mean,
Nad shading.
It's kind of the antonym of zenith, nadir.
Is it?
Yeah, it's not. It doesn't quite work in this situation, but like I get why some people call it that. I get it.
Sure.
Yeah. So, I heard recently, or saw in a Twitch chat, somebody dropped the term undershot shading.
Okay.
And I can't remember who said it. If it was you, good job, because it's stuck in my brain. But I think we may finally have a word to describe Nad shading. Undershot shading. So the idea is you go from under the model and you shoot your shade through your airbrush under the model to put in a little shadow. Put your Payne's gray, your purple lake, your carbon black, your whatever. Olive green, whatever your shadow color you're using.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I do that a lot too.
Yeah.
Like a lot of models use a lot of inks. I just did it on that orc I was talking about. Came in, dry brushed all the metallics, and then came in and did my Nad shading with some burnt umber. And then what would you call like middle shading? Horizon.
You just call that a mid-tone.
Well, no, it's not the mid-tone. It was like shot from the side.
So did you base coat the mini with like the highlight color and then kind of do a fade of your shadow color up the side? Is that what you're talking about? Or
sort of. So I in this case, it's taking metallics and making them you just modulate the color so that it looks cooler, and then you dry brush over the top of that, and you have all this really nice, I don't know, just a nice effect, right, all over the metals. So what you do is you start with gold, which is weird. All the metallics are in gold. Then you dry brush everything, or I'm sorry. Then you come in with like brown, like burnt umber, and you do your Nad shading. You get all your shadows. You darken everything down.
Undershot shading with your burnt umber. Yep.
Right, your undershot.
Nad shading.
Yeah. And then you come in the middle, like at the horizon, with like a purple, right? And that's like kind of halfway mixed with that burnt umber. And then on top, you do like a blue or a green, right? So you have this shift of dark to purple to light, It's a whole thing. So you just get this really cool effect in your metallics.
So those are you're kind of describing like color filters. Seems what you're...
A little bit, yeah. I mean, you are filtering that gold to do different things, and then you're dry brushing it with like a bright silver at the end, so you're not seeing a majority of it, but it comes through. Like, so that your metallic just looks different. And it works really well. But you're still doing that over the gold. Like, you're coming in with that undershot, and you're doing the zenithal with like a different color.
Yeah, I think All right. I propose side shot. Undershot, side shot.
Like side shading or
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll work on it. See, I was really happy with the term undershot shading.
That's
and
good.
Like the term is good enough to spend some more time talking about it in a YouTube video. And that's why I'm preparing a lot of models, some just army mans to kind of get the color combos right of like figuring out what good shadow colors are for different base coats. And then I also want to take some real models and actually slightly try hard with the undershot shading.
That makes sense, yeah.
But here you are, you just off the top of your head, you drop the word Nad shading as a sick bastardization of Nadiral shading. And it's strong. It is strong. It is strong. Yeah.
Well, I guess people just have to fight it out. Like undershot is definitely a much more appropriate version of that.
Mm-hmm.
And one that should stick.
Yeah, we can't always decide what sticks, what the hobby community goes with. And,
yeah.
And I've got a bad feeling about Nad shading. His Nad shading is way better than anti-zenithal. It just is. Yeah.
I mean, anti-zenithal, it just sounds negative. So I'm sure that's probably people say, no, I don't want to do that.
It's too many syllables. It's too many syllables. And it's too cerebral. Whereas Nad shading, one, you can be like, it's nadir, kind of like anti-zenithal, but also where are you shading? You're shading the armpits and you're shading the nads. Nad shading.
That's fair.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's where
is
that's headed.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that went south real fast.
So start preparing your stickers that say Nad shading hobbyist, Nad shading pro. Yeah.
I think people are that hardcore about zenithal, like where you get this like opposite effect. Yeah. People are just like, no, only undershot Nad shading. That's how we roll. Yeah.
I mean, we need words to describe things. And Zenithal definitely stuck. For better or worse, Slap Chop stuck.
Man.
NMM is a thing.
Yeah.
And we do need a word for blasting in your Payne's Gray at the nads and at the armpits to get your undershot shading in there. We need a word for it. Anti-Zenithal did not stick. Nadiral did not stick. Like I've heard people use both, but nobody's real proud of it.
I feel like I've heard some other term.
Okay.
But I don't know
airbrush
what it is.
shading.
Yeah, just like undershading, but not in the same way that you would undershade something. You know what I mean? So I mean, sure, that's where the confusion comes in, I guess. The reason to need another name.
Yeah. Well, I'm doing it. I'm shooting my shot, and I'm gonna try to coin undershot shading as the useful, descriptive, industry standard term for Nad shading. And,
all right, we'll see how it goes. I mean, you're planning on making a video. You're gonna paint yourself 100 army men's, and you're gonna Nad shade every single one of them.
Yep. Right. Yep.
It's perfect.
So that's what's going on. Oh, and I mean, this really mostly applies to me, but I figured out my paint scheme for my Quadroon on my my Conquest. And
your giant, your Bronto, or just all of it. Okay, cool.
So we're doing blue-skinned orcs, and the main cloth color on their armor, or whatever, is a bright green. So we got like teal, we got green, and then I'm doing burnt orange bases, like desert bases, and the Bronto is a red. So
yeah.
It's essentially red, teal, and green. It
sounds good.
Yeah. I mean, it's always nice when you figure out a color scheme on a model, but when you figure out a color scheme for an army, that you feel good about to apply to many, many models,
Yeah.
that really does count as an achievement in my mind. And so, like, the day when I was doing test models and I found a combination that I liked is like, that's a good day right there. Ain't nothing better than that. I got
Right.
didn't just get a color scheme. I got an army scheme. And Bronto ain't done yet, but I'm confident now. I'm confident. I got my plan.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always nice. Like you don't have to think about it next time you pick up a quadroon. You know, you just go for it.
That's right. You know what colors you need, and
I do like doing that. Just setting aside the paint. It's like, well, here's all of the paint, and you kind of limit yourself to that like palette that you've selected. It's like, well, however the next one ends up, it's got all these colors in it, so it's gonna be close enough, you know.
I like that in theory, but I always just accumulate more and more and more bottles of paint on my surface until I clean it up. I'll re-rack it, you know?
Right, that's true. Yeah, I mean, I've got paint all over the place right now. Like, I needed like one bottle of speed paint, and I've got like 40 speed paints out now. They're just sitting out. I'm like, oh, okay.
That's how it goes.
I'll get these later. I don't need 90% of them. So this is kind of dumb. I found a random bottle of Monument Hobbies in my speed paint box too. Like, I was looking for that paint. I don't know how that got in there.
There you are.
Yeah. It was like one of the ivories too, like one that I need pretty often. So kind of dumb.
Yeah, Monument Hobbies has a pretty good pile of off-whites, actually.
Yeah.
There's
like
so there's a lot of options.
And ivories and
Yeah. I feel like they need more of a medium tan somewhere, but
yeah, that's true.
They'll get around to it. We'll get around to it.
I mean, they will. They're filling in the colors all the time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I think there's at least a couple of sets I don't have now. Colors that I do wish I had that like I just haven't gotten from them. So I should probably do that pretty soon.
Yeah. I put in an order last week, and it should be here any day now.
Any day.
Yeah. Some of the colors they didn't have yet, and plus, I really like their knife. Hold on. I actually have it within reach.
Oh, the actual Monument Hobbies, like hobby knife?
Yeah, I love it. It's a retractable X-Acto blade.
With their name on it.
Yeah. And it's just the X-Acto blade version of a box cutter. But like, you can put it in your pocket and not stab yourself, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not bad at all.
Yeah. It was like, I think it was like $11, but I ordered 3 more of them because I'm like, this is, I prefer this so much over the $2 X-Acto blades that I have at, worth.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like nail clippers. I want to have them within reach whenever the mood strikes.
Whenever you need it.
Yep.
Yeah. You need those.
Is that just a me thing?
It might be.
Okay.
That's a weird ass thing to need.
No, there are just some objects that's like, okay, I get really annoyed if I can't find one of these.
I mean, okay, to be fair, I have that same obsession, I guess, if you want to call it that, with like sunglasses.
Great example.
I got a couple pair in my car. Mm-hmm. I got like 3 pair in my office. I got a couple in the house.
Yeah.
And I'm sure
you have some on your head right now. Yes.
Literally, it's dark outside right now. I have some on my head. Yeah. So I get it. I get it. The nail clippers is a strange one, but I get it.
Really? Okay. There's some things that like if you need it and you can't find it, you get so annoyed.
Yeah.
And for me,
it's true. Nail clippers is if you need it and you can't find it, you're just mad.
Yes. And so there were a couple of times when I was at the store, I'm like, get a couple more of these. Like, with exactly that intention of, we'll sprinkle some, put a couple in the bathroom, put a couple in my desk. Like, just make sure that you open a random drawer, you can find some nail clippers, right?
The only reliable place that I can honestly say that I know where nail clippers are at all times is in my tackle box.
That's a great one too, because they're super useful. Yeah.
Yeah, they're just rusty as hell. I would never cut my nails with them, but they're there. I know they are.
Tetanus clippers. Yeah.
Yeah. They've been in there for like 20 years. They're not going anywhere. Yeah. Other than that, yeah, I don't know where they are.
Yeah.
I'll find them eventually.
Yeah, there's some objects that you need to be at like a saturation point for. And I did the same actually with Tamiya extra thin glue.
Really?
I just bought a couple extra bottles. We're just gonna put one here, put one in my Just make sure, like, where the heck is my model glue? Like, okay, well, there's a bottle. We'll find the other ones later. Yeah.
We drop a hot tip at the end of this episode. What's the chemical that goes into that you can buy at Home Depot? It's basically just Tamiya thin.
Tamiya thin is a blend of a couple of things, but there are multiple similar enough organic solvents that you can get at Home Depot that will also dissolve polystyrene.
Yeah.
And when I was visiting you, I bought a random bottle at the hardware store for you. And it definitely works.
Big ass bottle.
It definitely works as model glue. It smells way worse than Tamiya thin. I'm sorry.
It does.
You probably shouldn't.
But at this point, I'm just like, yeah. I've put every single model together since you bought that, and obviously couldn't take it back on an airplane. Yeah, that's what I've been using.
Really?
To assemble models, and it's worked great.
Great.
So
great. Yeah.
I don't know. It seems fine.
I will make a video on solvents one of these days. And
you should, yeah.
Once you get past the price, availability, and safety concerns, it's really just like, does it dissolve the stuff you want it to dissolve? Yes? Okay, cool. Then it's an option. Yeah.
Yeah.
Once you get past the price, availability, safety, and smell, then does it work? Okay, cool.
No, the stuff you got seems like pretty strong too, because I mean I can smooth out some plastic. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Like I really push. If I push hard enough, like those pieces become squishy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Tamiya thin, like it works, but it's never worked that good.
Okay.
So, yeah, I don't think I can go back. That's what I'm saying. That smell is, it's hooked me now. It's terrible.
Okay.
It works so good.
I can't remember. It was methyl ethyl ketone or MEK substitute, maybe, which is a related ester, I think. But it don't matter. Whatever. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, if it works, it works.
Yeah.
But the Tamiya extra thin bottles are very nice.
The bottles. That's what my point was. Is, you have extra bottles. You fill it with the stuff. You got as many bottles as you need.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there was a point where I'm just like, I'm going to order 2 more of these bottles so that they're everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to keep them topped up with an appropriate fluid. And, yeah. Anything that'll get that polystyrene a little bit dissolved, a little bit, it's not melted, but melty.
Yeah. Melty.
Yeah.
For sure. Like looks like a s'more if you squish it together hard enough. Mm-hmm. That's when you know those pieces are not coming apart. Like you get the bead of plastic around the outside there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, anyway, I'm excited for my expensive retractable X-Acto blades from Monument to come in because I'm just gonna hide them around the house so that there's always one available when I need it. I'm excited.
Intruder X-Acto. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reach that saturation point so that you open any drawer, there one is. Yep.
Oh man. I can't think of anything else that I'd want to be that in reach for the hobby. Like in abundance. I understand the hobby knife. Oh, okay, like painting handles. I do have like a stash of GW painting handles that's just they're sitting around. Actually, it's funny. In one of the recent videos I made, I unscrewed the top of the GW handle and just replaced it with another top. And I got a few comments, and people are like, "Are you kidding me? The top comes off?" Yeah, it unscrews. You just replace them, and then your models can sit on that flat little base at the top, and your handle is your handle. It's actually pretty sweet.
Learn something new every day.
There you go. Yeah, they're all completely interchangeable, all the handles and stuff, except for the stupid, like, butt plug looking ones that came out. Those don't do anything for anybody. Garbage handles. Except, just because this is the one exception. Undershot shading. Like, they're small enough and thin enough that you can still get into all of the underside of the model, whereas the old handles you cannot.
Mm-hmm.
It's harder.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why they were designed like that. Again, like,
I think so. Although they don't give a crap about airbrushing, so I don't know why they'd consider it. But
for how long have humans been using tools? 100,000 years, a million years, 100,000? We'll call it 100,000 years. We're not anthropologists here. But yeah, humans been using tools for hundreds of thousands of years.
There you go.
And not once has the handle of a tool been shaped like the Games Workshop painting handle. Not once has a handle of any tool been shaped like that, because it bears no resemblance to the shape of a human hand.
Right. Somehow, like, the bottom of your palm needs the thickness, and then the top is dainty. Like a really bad wine glass or something.
For a couple of years, they were selling a perfectly good painting handle. In fact, a pretty dang good painting handle. And then they changed it to something pretty dumb.
Yeah, that's true.
What are you going to do?
I not buy those, I guess. I don't know. Build your own doweled ones.
Yeah, you get your dowel.
I do like that.
Inch and a quarter. You drill press. You drill some holes in there. Put some magnets in there. You just get yourself a whole bunch of these. That's what you do. That's what I do. I refuse to buy a butt plug painting handle. That's where I draw the line.
I did buy one.
The line must be drawn here. Even no further.
And I made a pretty funny video about it a long time ago. I never released it too. It's just a review of that painting handle. So never put it out.
Star Trek Insurrection. The line must be drawn here.
Is that really
here and no further.
I don't even remember. I've seen that movie a lot of times too. So, oh man, just bring it back to Star Trek.
That's all we got. That's
Speaking of Star Trek, I just painted Fabius Bile. He's got some stretchy faces on himself.
Just like the Baku from Star Trek Insurrection.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, I've painted a couple models actually, like pretty recently, where that movie specifically has come up. Fabius Bile, and then that Archon, that really terrible looking Archon that has the same exact face. Yep, stretchy faces. That's good. Yeah. Anyways, thank you again for joining us on another episode of Paint Bravely. If you enjoyed this podcast, please help us out by leaving us a review on iTunes, subscribing to the YouTube channel, and sharing this message with your hobby friends. And as always, we appreciate each and every one of you for listening, and we will talk to you next time.
We appreciate you. We'll talk to you next time.